Good afternoon. Welcome to our Expert Viewpoint webinar, featuring a discussion on underwriting technology and transformation. I'm John Belizaire, CEO of FirstBest Systems, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. I'm joined by two distinguished and knowledgeable panelists, Matt Josefowicz, who is President and CEO of Novarica, and also joining us is Mike Dilio, Senior Vice President of Underwriting and Claims Operations at Stone Trust Commercial Insurance Company. A little housekeeping. As we progress through the webinar, you can post questions online. Time permitting, we'll ask our panelists to respond to a few of them. Please post your questions in your GoToMeeting webinar control panel. The questions area is highlighted in this slide, as you can see, and click Send. All incoming questions are anonymous. Now, before we turn to our panelists, I'd like to complement their viewpoints with some brief observations on the role and significance of modern technology in the underwriting process. Dedicated underwriting technology really is transforming the risk evaluation process. That's because state-of-the-art rules-based underwriting workstations let underwriters focus on the quality and consistency of underwriting at the account level and across the enterprise. Now, modern underwriting technology also streamlines all workflows so underwriters can collaborate proficiently with producers to rapidly close business. Now, today's technology is also built to accommodate new and evolving data sources. It means underwriters can evaluate risk with much greater precision without losing time searching for disparate risk information. They can also better understand risk and make informed decisions about exposures. And more than ever, it means underwriters are much better positioned to directly contribute to profitability. And finally, just as important, data-driven underwriting technology is also helping to filter out the distraction of wrong data or too much data. Keep in mind, too, that policy admin systems are typically not designed to incorporate, consume, or exploit today's range of data sources for underwriting decision-making, especially for commercial and specialty risks. Now, when the conditions I've described are prevalent, we're seeing some extraordinary results by insurers who are really integrating underwriting workstations with their policy admin systems and other systems. In fact, data-powered and account-driven business performance in this new age of underwriting looks a bit like this from our customers' perspective. We've seen incredible results, such as DPW growth of 300% over 5 years. We've also seen a decrease in loss ratios year over year, anywhere from 1 to 2 points. Underwriting productivity boosting is something we see as well. We've seen 40% increases in underwriting productivity. Submissions and quotes, the increase in the submissions and quotes, we've seen a range of anywhere from 80 to 90%. And we've also seen a decrease in submission turnaround time from 40 to 50%. Now, I'd like to introduce Matt Josefowicz, President and CEO of Novarica. Matt will offer unique insights on the emergence and characteristics of a new age of underwriting. Matt, over to you.
Thanks very much, John. Thanks, everybody, for joining the webinar today. What I want to talk about is the way that we see what we're calling the new normal capabilities for insurers starting to affect underwriting specifically. For those of you who aren't familiar with Novarica, I appreciate you joining the webinar today. We are strategy advisors focused on insurance operations and technology. We work with more than 80 insurer CIOs and their teams, providing them insights into market trends, technology trends, the intersection of the two, and the solution providers that can be brought in to help address today's pressing business needs. In addition to our retained services, we also offer custom strategy work as well. When we take a look at underwriting and the function of underwriting and how it's changing in reaction to changes in information technology, there's a couple of things that immediately jump to the fore as differences between previous generations of information technology and future generations of information technology. So you see we have two columns here, one labeled yesterday and one labeled tomorrow, and in the middle, today is somewhere in between the two. Anybody who has heard me present before has probably heard my favorite William Gibson quote, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." And as we look at the deployment of underwriting technology in the P&C industry, that definitely holds true. So when we think about the major functions of underwriting, gathering information about the prospective risk, being able to differentiate by asking the right questions and unique questions, being able to outperform in analytics, the importance of automated predictive modeling and scoring, the opportunity to improve underwriting productivity, the opportunity to bring transparency to the underwriting process, and the importance of third-party data, especially third-party data that can be accessed electronically in real time. We see a real shift in each one of these areas between what was possible in previous generations of information technology and what's possible in the future and what's already possible today. So the locus of competition for insurers, the opportunity to differentiate in underwriting is shifting from the things that were high yesterday to what's becoming high tomorrow. So we're shifting from the underwriters primarily as information gatherers and distinctive information gatherers to underwriting performance that's based on analytics, expanding profitability, and improving the transparency and use of third-party data inside the underwriting process. When we look at what we consider the new normal advanced capabilities for insurers, they're really a combination of all 5 of these things. And they're all being driven by changes in information technology. So the great advancements in analytics, the swelling of the amount of data that's available and the amount of data that's easily available, the growth of digital channels to move that data more effectively, the modern applications that insurers now have access to that allow them to embrace innovative business practices based on leveraging data analytics and digital channels. All of those go into creating advanced capabilities for insurers. And in a recent report, we looked at advanced capabilities across the value chain, some of the most prominent ones in each area for a total of 50 across the whole value chain. When we look at insurance specifically, we see that the new normal capabilities are really changing what underwriters do in a way that's very consistent with the table that we presented before. Underwriters are spending less time assembling information and making basic decisions and more time working with larger volumes of data and interpreting the results of computerized analysis. They're also spending more time as technology facilitates their ability to do analysis. Their time is being freed up to do more relationship management. And as we look at the shifting balance of what's best done by software and what's best done by people across all industries, relationship management is still best done by people. So as we look at the key capabilities that we'll look at the prominence of on the following slides, we see the importance of integrated real-time access to third-party data, which maximizes pre-fill and reduces the necessity of manual data entry. This is enabling practices like predictive scoring based on models that leverage internal and external data. Book of business impact analysis as part of underwriting so that each risk can be evaluated not just in a vacuum, but in real time in terms of its potential impact on the overall book. And the use of pre-rating or real-time indication of interest based on simple questions like name and address, where third-party data and predictive models can be used to give brokers a real-time indication of interest, which minimizes wasted broker time and creates incredible loyalty among brokers to an underwriter. At the same time, we see digital channels enabling real-time agent-broker online collaboration and modern workflow applications that provide the ability to implement skills-based routing of incoming cases and what we call triage straight-through processing, where cases can be automatically underwritten or scored and referred for review or sent directly to an underwriter for hand underwriting depending on the complexity of their attributes. So one of those 3 paths using the model of triage. As we look at our most recent survey data from large insurers, this is a survey of 17 P&C insurers with premiums over $1 billion. The advanced deployment of these capabilities is fairly widespread, at least in some areas. So more than 3/4 of the respondents, at least in some areas of their business, are able to do book of business impact analysis, integrated real-time third-party data, predictive scoring, and triaged SDP. Skills-based routing, real-time collaboration, automated pre-rating is a little less widespread. And you'll see there's, when we look at automated pre-rating, there are no insurers who have that widely deployed today, although we see that, that coming. The green bar, the green stack at the top of the bars is those who have active plans for this area for this current year. So you see that across large P&C insurers, it's either universal to have predictive scoring in place or to have it planned for 2015. And this is across a range of P&C insurers, mostly multi-line, commercial and specialty, or personal and commercial. When we look at small insurers, mid-size insurers, which is to say those with premiums between 100 million and $1 billion, the picture is very different. We have fewer than 80% have even active plans in any of these areas, and where predictive scoring was nearly universal or planned to be universal for the larger insurers, it's a lower number for the mid-size insurers, but still more than half of the mid-size insurers, and there were 45 in this survey, more than half have the first four capabilities, first four capabilities deployed in at least some areas of their business. But across the board, they are lagging large insurers in the deployment of this technology. Interestingly, even though large insurers, and this is from a slightly different survey group that overlaps heavily but is not identical to the previous survey group, even though large insurers have much more active deployment of these capabilities, they're still more self-critical. They still realize that there is room for advancement in their underwriting capabilities, and they are more actively investing, slightly more actively investing in these areas. The mid-sized insurers are a little bit more complacent about their capabilities, don't necessarily realize the critical importance of some of these capabilities, but we are starting to see some new replacement activity of their underwriting workbench for mid-sized insurers. So there is a significant slice of that market that does realize this importance and is actively investing in this area this year. So overall, when we look at the underwriting capabilities and start to think about evolution, which is doing what we already do much better, and revolution, really rethinking the goals and processes in underwriting. When we look at evolution, we look at things like streamlining processes, increasing the use of third-party data, increasing automated decision capabilities, increasing overall efficiency and effectiveness, and using technology to really improve what underwriters do today. When we think about how to revolutionize underwriting through technology, we need to take a step back and rethink the overall purpose of the process. We need to think about what does it mean to evaluate risk for taking on this risk as a carrier. We need to re-examine the models in light of the new data sources and capabilities that are possible. We need to think about the possibility of moving risk selection from underwriting to marketing through pre-underwriting, really determining what risks we want and proactively educating our distribution partners about how to go after them, even potentially to the point of giving them targeted leads based on available third-party data. We see some companies starting to experiment with doing that in more detail. And that is a common marketing discipline that is very widespread in most consumer industries of pre-targeting the companies that will receive and the people that will receive your marketing message. The insurance industry historically has been in a more passive mode. You know, you can almost think of it as a blue whale that's taking a huge mouthful of water to get a tiny handful of krill by throwing away all the risks that come in that they don't want. We're seeing the potential for data and technology to transform that strategy so that insurers spend less time and less resource looking at risks they don't want. All of this can potentially radically change the cost basis of the process, which will allow insurers to be more competitive on price. And really the overall view on revolution, the thing that distinguishes revolution from evolution, is not just using technology to improve what underwriters do, but really using technology to change what they do. allowing them to spend more of their time building and strengthening relationships with the field, with the folks who are closest to the customer, providing feedback for new product development, being that frontline interface of the company with the marketplace, and less time moving information around and even looking at information and making unassisted decisions, really being able to leverage technology models and new analytics capabilities to drive most of that decision making. So that's what I wanted to share. I look forward to your questions. The material that I presented are based on two Novarica reports, one our annual IT budgets and projects report, and also our report on benchmarking the new normal. My contact information and our general information is here on the slide, and I'm more than happy to continue the conversation directly with anybody who would like to after the webinar. And John, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate that. I love the commentary on the trends, especially the evolution versus revolution. Looks like our audience has posted a few interesting questions. We'll certainly get to those later. Just a reminder, though, that you can still post your anonymous questions in your GoToMeeting control panel. As I said, time permitting later, we'll certainly try to get to those questions. It's a great privilege to introduce our next panelist. Mike Dilio is the Senior Vice President of Underwriting and Claims Operations at StoneTrust Commercial Insurance Company. Mike will explore how technology-enabled underwriting transformation is helping StoneTrust to address mission-critical initiatives, such as enhancing risk selection, increasing speed to quote, and enabling easy collaboration with their agents. Mike, it's all yours.
Thank you, John. I appreciate everyone joining today's webinar. I'm excited to share our experiences at StoneTrust with our underwriting workstation transformation. StoneTrust, we're a small to mid-sized carrier. We're based in, headquartered in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We underwent a major reorganization in 2010. I was part of that reorganization when I arrived at StoneTrust. And one of my challenges was to really take the existing processes, procedures, the technology that we had at that time, and really develop a new way of doing underwriting. And we had a pretty big challenge ahead of us. A lot of the procedures that were being followed at the time were very antiquated, many manual processes, and really had a lot of catching up to do. One of the first things that we did as we thought about the changes that we wanted to make was we really wanted to focus on the things that, obviously the positives that the company had already offered in our market, as well as the things that we wanted to improve on. Company StoneTrust has always had an excellent relationship offering to its agent base. We were always thought of as being a very easy company to do business with. We wanted to capitalize on that and try to enhance that as much as possible. We also certainly in our industry wanted to figure out the best ways to deliver distinctive service, especially service to our agents. We're not a direct writer of insurance. We work with about 350 independent agents in 5 states. So service is key, and response time had to be one of the things that we had to improve on. And of course, we wanted to integrate technology and really upgrade our technology as much as possible throughout the entire underwriting process, from the application point all the way through binding and issuance of policies. And ultimately, our goal was to just improve our operational efficiency overall. We felt like all the things that we needed to do to compete on a level playing field, all centered around really making our internal processes more efficient, as well as focusing on improving relationships with our customers. A lot of the things that Matt touched on really was really very similar to the blueprint that we outlined as far as our workstation transformation. So really, how did we go about doing it? The things that we felt that were going to make the most difference for us centered around really maintaining or improving our communication ability with our agents. We've always tried to keep the process as simple as possible with our underwriting staff and their agent contacts by emphasizing a single point of contact. We felt like if we had some opportunities to upgrade that and improve upon the way that we communicated with our agents, that would give us and bring us some advantage. We also felt like we had to improve upon our application portal. We were really operating off of a very old system, and we had to improve the ability for our agents to and to give them more options to submit applications to us. At that time, we were running about 400 to 500 applications a month, and as part of our reorganization, one of our goals was to really accelerate our marketing program. So we were anticipating a significant increase in application activity, and we had to have the back-end structure and operations to support that. So we had to improve our process. At that time we were receiving applications mostly through email and even through fax. Knowing that had to improve, that was definitely an area where our technology had to become more robust and present a better offering for us. Centralizing our data structure and functionality in 2010, the process was really pretty scattered as far as what our underwriters were dealing with, and not having all the information and tools available to analyze the risks that were coming in a singular format was really troublesome for us. And so one of the focuses that we wanted to have as far as the improvement was to really try to have a process where everything was centered around the application. And then finally, rules automation. That was another area where we felt like the more that we could implement system-based rules, and we could minimize the manual work that was required at that time, and that would only help us to streamline the process overall. So that was also very, very key to the things that we were trying to do. So what we're trying to do overall is really transform our underwriting process. Some of the systems that we looked at through we did a multiple RFP process to look at various options for us, and the things that we felt that were key that not only had to catch us up with the rest of the industry, but also hopefully put us on the front edge of where things are going, was we had to have application reader functionality. We were too focused on really just emails and paper, and so that was a key function that we wanted to introduce as part of our program. At that time, 4 years ago, we didn't have a quick quoting capability for agents. Agents, as you know, they want to know a quick indication as soon as possible relative to your rates and your pricing. We also wanted to reduce the amount of email that was being used in our process. In the old process, our underwriting staff would receive the applications through one program, and then, of course, a lot of the communication that was taking place was through their Outlook email and separate from the actual information that was coming in. And also key for us was to improve our risk clearance capability to capture all the data that we need to capture on the front end of our application process. And then ultimately, we wanted to introduce some straight-through processing for efficiency reasons. We underwrite a pretty good number of small policies. We wanted to reduce the amount of touch points that we've had on those policies, and we wanted to also introduce transactionability for our agents, to have some rules in place that would allow agents to actually eventually quote business and bind business. In 2013, we entered into a relationship with FirstBest. We chose FirstBest as our partner to help us with our technology transformation, and it's really made a difference for us. We've introduced a lot of new things into our process. We actually went live with our quoting and rating process in October of 2014. We chose to do it in a phased-in approach with our agents, and actually just completed the rollout to all of our agents. We undertook a training program with each agent. Initially we chose a core group of agents to roll it out to. And then after that, we got very, very good feedback. Then we mapped out a plan to train the rest of our agents, and so we're really kind of somewhat still in the beginning stages of the process, but the early returns have been very, very good. We've introduced real-time interactive capability with our agents. One of the things that's been most impressive is that our underwriting staff can actually work on submissions, with their agents in real time. They're looking at the same screen, and that was not possible before the changes. We've introduced some analytics into our front-end process, where we're actually looking at class-based, rating. Scoring, and so we've upgraded our underwriters' ability to analyze the accounts that they're looking at without having to search for the the information. It's all available to them on the front end. Overall, if you look at our process, we've upgraded our ability to manage production capabilities with agents. We have a nice dashboard that's available both to underwriting staff, our marketing staff, as well as to the agents, where they can actually monitor submission activity, quoting activity, binding activity. The old process for that was to really print out reports and meet with the agents and review the reports. They didn't have immediate access to that, so that's been a significant upgrade for us. Overall, the changes that we've made, we've maintained our back-end policy financial system, and really what we've done is added a really robust underwriting management workstation that complements our back-end financial system, and really has become the underwriting workflow process that we had that we thought that we needed to do to upgrade our overall underwriting. If you look back 4 years ago, when we were running 400 to 500 apps a month, we're now about double that. We're processing 800 to 900 applications a month. So the new technology, the new guidelines that we put in place have really not only supported the increase in business that we've achieved, but it's also starting to pay dividends in the way of an increase in our application submission activity, as well as really allowing us to be more responsive than we were before. So we already had what we felt like was a pretty good offering from an ease of doing business standpoint, but now we feel like we've enhanced that, and it's just following our rollout of our phase one. We've only rolled out the quoting and rating portion of that. We have plans to also introduce straight-through processing. We haven't yet gotten into implementing our renewal process into our workstation, but that's part of our phase 2. So first offering has been very, very positive, and really again touching on what some of the things that Matt talked about. Really, what we've tried to do is follow that outline as far as making our process overall more collaborative, more centralized, more efficient, more interactive, and of course introducing the analytics into the process too. I appreciate talking about what we've done here, and I look forward to any questions that anybody might have. And with that, I'll turn it back over to John.
Thank you, Mike. It's always great to hear a carrier's perspective on these important trends, and specific implementation is also very insightful. As I mentioned during the presentations, our audience did ask several questions, and I'm going to try to get through as many of them as possible, given the limited time that we have. The first question I'd like to pose is to Matt. It's about pain, and it's a two-part question. The question is, what do you see as the key pain points for commercial and specialty lines underwriting teams, and how can underwriting technology help them?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. There is the current pain point based on yesterday's issues, and then there are the pain points based on tomorrow's issues. So a lot of commercial lines carriers are still dealing with the issues of too much information being paper-based, or their electronic workflow systems not really being up to snuff, not really supporting the things like skills-based routing or collaborative work that we were talking about. So that's kind of a recognition of the shortcomings of their existing capabilities. Either they have no systems and they're still stuck in manual processes, which is much more widespread than you would like to believe in commercial and specialty, or their legacy environments are not enabling them to perform at the level of their peers, either in terms of risk analysis or productivity. Then there's a question of tomorrow's problems, which are not necessarily on the radar for every company, but forward-looking companies are starting to think about how do we transform the underwriting process, in the way that companies like Stone Trust have done.
Got it. Thank you. Let's see, Mike, this one is for you. Integration, integrating new underwriting technology to your current systems for most carriers is challenging. How would you describe your efforts to integrate the FirstBest system or the underwriting technology you developed with the rest of your IT infrastructure?
I think that recognizing that integration does always present challenges. We certainly had, I guess, shared some concern whenever we were deciding to make the changes that we did. But overall, after completing phase 1 of our programs, the key to the integration of our systems was really just taking the time to map out the data points that we needed to make the integration as smooth as possible, and we really did not have the problems that we thought that we might have. We had a really good team structure as far as how we dealt with those issues, and we really tried to think about all the things that we had to do to make sure it flowed smoothly, and it went off very, very well for us. We really didn't have any major issues with integration.
Great. Matt, this one's for you. Thank you, Mike. This one's about barriers, I guess. What barriers do insurers face in deploying underwriting technology like what Mike has deployed at Stone Trust? What advice would you give to insurers who are looking to evaluate their underwriting operations for this type of technology?
Well, I think the most important thing is to make sure that it is a business-led decision rather than a technology-led decision. This type of technology does change the way that underwriters do their jobs, and some underwriters see the benefit and the power in that, and are eager to embrace the capabilities of these new technologies. And even if not every underwriter in the organization, a lot of underwriting managers feel the need to advance their capabilities and benefit, in the same way that companies like Stone Trust have. So the most important thing is that it's led by the business side, and that they are looking to realize the benefits of working differently and embracing these new capabilities. That's the key for almost every core capability system replacement. If it's IT coming to the table and saying, you need to do this because X, Y, or Z, if the business side isn't feeling either feeling current pain or looking for new opportunity, it's going to be very difficult to drive the change in the organization, no matter how easy or difficult it is to actually just implement the system.
Thanks, Matt. That's certainly very helpful. Another one for you, I guess, along the same lines. You talked about during your presentation the evolution versus revolution. As I said, I like that very much. How can business and IT cooperate on boosting underwriting effectiveness, keeping those two sort of viewpoints in mind?
Well, I think
business have to decide sort of which approach they're taking first, or?
Well, I think they need to think about what their overall strategy is and what their overall vision is. There are some companies. Look, evolution is definitely important. It's if your choice is revolution, evolution, or nothing. Evolution is definitely going to move the ball forward. And so it's important for business and IT to collaborate. In some cases, for IT to educate their business partners on what the potential advantages of embracing new technology are, and for business partners to really articulate to IT what they want to be able to accomplish and not dictate an implementation strategy. I think one of the key challenges for business is to trust their IT partners as a delivery partner and not try to dictate exactly how something's going to be delivered, but really articulate carefully what is the end goal that they have in mind. What is it that they want to do? It's a little bit like describing the house you want to live in richly to your architect as opposed to trying to micromanage where you put the windows. So I think that is something that both sides should think about in terms of really carefully articulating the expected benefits and the desired benefits in terms of what new capabilities will be created, and then from the technology side, offering creative solutions on how to get them there.
Got it. Mike, what's your perspective? Did Stone Trust, did you guys have a strategy in mind, and was it more evolution or revolution?
I think that it was more evolution. It wasn't a complete upsetting of the cart, but as I mentioned in my presentation, we were well behind as compared to the rest of the industry, so we had a lot of ground to make up. And to Matt's point, I think that it did involve a lot of collaboration between our IT and our business group, and that has to. There's a lot of give and take there. Both sides have to really. The most important thing is understanding what your customers need and what's going to, really give you the best advantage. And of course, business is close to that on a daily basis. But to Matt's point, business also has to understand that technology, like an architect, understands really how, maybe how things should be structured, laid out to deliver what you're trying to achieve from a business standpoint. So it was more evolution, but it did require a lot of forethought and really, a lot of vision about what we wanted to have in place and the time frames we wanted to get that done. And you've got to spend the time doing that if you want to be successful at it.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Mike, while we're on you, another question came in I think is relevant to you. It's about agents and brokers. And folks would like to know how did you involve agents in your implementation, and what response are you getting? You alluded to some of that in terms of the new capabilities that are available to them, but what are some of your agents saying to you about the system?
Well, what's been interesting, I guess the first part of the question, as far as involving the agents in the implementation, we worked, with FirstBest to actually have a demo where we invited agents to our office. We actually operate currently in 5 states. We flew in, some of the agents and took them to dinner and really had them preview all the capabilities that we were looking at introducing as part of our system, and then we asked them for their feedback. We had some really nice meetings where they were very forthcoming with their opinions, and it was a very collaborative process. So that helped us really to get some initial feedback before we actually started our project. But also, as we've rolled it out, they recognize the improvement, from the beginning of our process all the way through the end, in the sense that you start with how they submit business to us now, and the capabilities that presented by being able to upload applications, and also the immediate feedback that they're getting from their underwriting contacts. They also like, obviously, we introduced the quick quote capability where they can get a rate without having to contact an underwriter, and again, that was something that we wanted to have available. They like the delivery of the quote now. We upgraded how we actually deliver quotes to our agents. There's a lot of things that was very, very, visible from their standpoint that we had made some significant changes, and really significant positive changes to our process. And all that's done is really helped us throughout the process. I emphasized in my presentation that we're a company that's very focused on relationship building and enhancing the existing relationships, and that's one of the probably the biggest takeaways from what we've done so far, is that the technology has brought us closer to our customers, and that being our agents, and that's been a really big plus overall.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, just to pick up on that point by Mike, I think
yep.
that's just to pick up on Mike's point there, I think that's a very important point, is that there's no either-or choice between high-tech and high-touch. Technology supports the development of relationships and the nurturing of relationships when it's deployed effectively.
That's great. Right, and that kind of points to this whole evolution, or I guess, of the role of underwriters, right? You want the underwriters to be out there and developing relationships. You kind of alluded to that in your presentation, Matt, earlier as well.
Absolutely. If you think about the 2 things that underwriters do, which is, one, look at information, look at data, and make decisions about pricing and risk acceptability, and the other one is develop and nurture relationships with the distribution field, not just to encourage them to sell more, but also to learn more from the field about what's going on in terms of demand in the marketplace. The first set of tasks, the looking at information and making decisions, is something that can be automated to one degree or another, and different companies will argue about where the right point is, and it'll be different for different lines of business and different business strategies. But overall, the general problem of taking in data and making a decision is something that is effectively done by software. The process of managing and nurturing those relationships and learning from the field to inform product development is something that can, at least today, only be done by people. And so if you have these very expensive, very expert, very valuable people on your team, do you want them spending their time doing something that only they can do, or something that, to one degree or another can be at least partially done by a machine?
Absolutely. On that point, we've done a survey that looks at the amount of time underwriters spend on actual underwriting, and we found that the majority of underwriting spend less than 50% of their time actually underwriting, and most of that time they're spent not underwriting is going out and looking for information they need to make their decision. So this probably kind of gives us an opportunity to ask another one of the questions that came in. It's under the same umbrella, I guess, the role of the underwriting process and where data is going to fit in. I guess the question's, I'll pose it to you, Mike. Since your implementation, what underwriting processes and areas has the system really helped you to improve and cut down the time that it takes for underwriters to make decisions? And where is data playing a role in that?
Well, really, the answer to that is throughout the entire process, really. But from the beginning, the risk clearance aspect of what we do, as far as the accumulation of data and being able to, do clearance on an application quicker than we were able to do before, and really being able to capture the information that's required to do that without having to go back and forth. I mean, that's one of the biggest takeaways that we've gotten out of our new system, is that there's not as much back and forth emailing from underwriter to agent, because we've really mapped out the primary things that we have to have at the beginning of the process, and that information comes into us. But also, introducing the analytics into the front end, where underwriters are not having to spend as much time searching for information, as Matt alluded to. Really, that's on the front end. That's where we've really noticed some improvement as far as being able to analyze a risk a lot quicker than we did before, to where you can spend more time on really determining what accounts we're going to select for quoting, as well as making sure that we're getting all the information we need to effectively price it. But also, it's allowing our new business underwriters to really focus on continuing to build the relationships, and the agent community is always going to be focused on relationship building, and we felt like we had to have a system in place that would allow our underwriters to meet that need, to be able to go out more and meet with our agents and continue to build the relationships.
Fantastic. Appreciate that, Mike. Matt, is what Mike just described and sort of his experience with the implementation, should people consider that to be the new norm? Is that sort of the at least some elements of that key capabilities you need to have for you to have a modern underwriting process these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a good example to look at. We're a little hesitant to, mandate a framework that everybody absolutely has to adopt because of two reasons. One, anybody's optimal framework is going to be specific to their situation. And two, when you mandate a framework like that, you spend all your time arguing about whether the framework is correct. And
right.
Less time educating people about the potential opportunities of embracing new technology. So we prefer to think of it as a menu rather than a you must do this. But I would say those are definitely key items for the menu.
No, that's great. I was, one of the questions, the reason I sort of asked that lead-in seemed to be around how does one evaluate their underwriting relative to peers, or sort of where they should be today, or to develop a strategy. One way would be to use a framework, but I think the question was, where does one start? How should you start approaching developing a strategy as you outlined before?
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing is to question all of your internal assumptions. Your process today, whether you realize it or not, is an artifact of the technology that you had available to you when you designed the process, or when whoever it was who designed the process.
Right.
So, think about what is it that we would like underwriters to be able to do? Do we want them to be using their experience and expertise to be making risk decisions? Do we want, and how do we want to balance that against wanting them to engage with the field? And then obviously the most important benchmark is watching what your agents do, listening to your agents, but also watching what they do. You know, where are you not getting risk from them? Where are they putting risk elsewhere? And is it just because the rate is better and the standards are more relaxed, or is it because it's easier for them to do business and they're getting a faster response and they're getting a more comprehensive response, and so they're steering business to competitors? So it's a combination of looking at what the field expects, what they're getting from your competitors, and then also looking at your own processes and your own ways of doing things and just really questioning, does this make sense? You know, is this something, if we were designing our process with a blank sheet of paper with magic technology, would we design the process this way or would we design it some other way?
Right. Mike, would you agree with that? Is that kind of the approach you guys took, was to sort of look at your business and say, you know, how do we go from where we are today to where we want to be tomorrow, and are we looking to meet or exceed what everybody else is doing out there?
Well, I think that, yeah, I definitely would agree that really understanding, you know, not only, you know, talking with your agents, but watching what they do. And, you know, even though you ask agents for information, they don't always tell you exactly what they're doing, but the data will tell you what they're doing, and you know, maybe where the business is going. And so it is really important to understand, you know, what's happening in your market as far as, you know, who's writing business and at what price points. So that's where the technology can come in and help us. But yeah, I think that you know, you have to think about really where you are today, where you would like to be, what's gonna make, you know, give you the best advantage. You know, we're a smaller size carrier, but we're playing on the same on the same playing field with you know, all different types of carriers and much larger carriers. So, you know, we're competing in the same business, so we have to look for any type of strategic advantage that we can find, whether it be through our internal process or through technology, and you know, what's going to differentiate us to give us that advantage, you know, and so that's, you know, you have to spend the time to think about what's really going to make the most difference for you. And I think if you do that, you know, you can, and you're a little creative, you can find those areas where you can compete on a more even level, even with some of the larger guys.
Fantastic. This will probably be our last question, given our time. Mike, this question is for you. It's around efficiencies, and you know, what business efficiencies are you achieving since your implementation? For example, are you seeing increases in application or submission activity now that you've rolled out your phase 1, or what things are you tracking?
Yeah, well, I mentioned in the presentation that we had undertaken a phased rollout, and it just completed you know, training with our agents, and we're starting to see some increase in our submission trends. You know, that's one of the areas where we thought that once we got the technology in everyone's hands, and really, you know, one of the challenges that we thought we would face, and it is something that as we rolled it out, you know, agents work in a very fast-paced world, and we've got different levels of you know, agents being open to new technology, and some, you know, you know, the agents that we've dealt with that are really open to technology, they've jumped right aboard, you know, and have started using the system right away, and see how easy it is, and there are those that you have to spend a little more time with, and really you know, show them how the system works, and so we understood that going in. We do feel like you know, we're starting to see a return right now. Now that we've really gone out and touched all of our agents with the new technology, and so that's been, you know, one of the first signs that what we've done is going to reap a lot of benefits for us. But also just the internal efficiencies. that was a big key for us too, just improving our internal processes where, we've got some rules built into the system. We also have, one of the things that's been very efficient for us, I'll give you an example, is in the underwriting process sheet, obviously there's a lot of questions that have to be answered in the analysis process, and we've automated our supplemental questionnaire process, where that's a much easier process for agents to complete all the questions required for submission. That's been an area where there's been lots of efficiency found, which only leads to us being able to respond quicker. So really, it's across the board. One of the things we try to achieve is look at the entire process from beginning to end and figure out how could we streamline the process, make it a easier process both internally as well as externally. We felt like if we did that, then we had to be more efficient at it. My underwriters now can handle more applications since we've rolled out our new system. So as we continue to upgrade our marketing and handle more new business applications, we have the capability now to do that. So there's a lot of efficiencies across the board with what we've introduced.
Fantastic, Mike. I really appreciate that. Well, that's all the time we have for today's webinar. I hope you agree that this was an informative and enlightening session on the business and technology trends of modern underwriting. I'd like to thank our expert panelists, Matt Josefowicz of Novarica and Mike Dilio of Stone Trust, for their insights and wisdom. And of course, we'd like to thank you, our industry audience, for taking the time to participate. Have a great day.